This is going to be a curious streaming series to evaluate, not only from, this trailer, but in the general response as soon as the series debuts. And I've already seen some responses online from fans of National Treasure making some interesting, comments on the show. And one that I would definitely say has changed perspective, and I would say in many ways for me. Now, I will also state that I like the National Treasure films, both the first one and the second one. Well, I think the first one's definitely better, but both films were great. Nicolas Cage, of course, everyone loves the guy. National Treasure 3, a lot of promise, even though that's what's been spoken of for a very long time. Now, I believe currently that's still in development, that third film. But in place of that film happening first, Disney has decided, and maybe this is in part to prioritize with new content for Disney Plus and more streaming exclusives, Disney has prioritized this new National Treasure Edge of History streaming series. And the interesting thing about this, maybe it'll do well, because, it's being executive produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. Of course, again, coming from the films. I did see there's some returning characters from the movies as well that are coming into the show, but it's a generally new cast. But no Nicolas Cage. I don't know how that's going to fare. I mean, again, most people can kind of be like, okay, maybe that's just a set. Maybe they'll just gauge more interest in the film coming out, and maybe able to part it, being like, okay, new cast, streaming series, it's a spinoff. Let's see how it fares. But from what I've seen online, from a general pool of comments, that's not necessarily been the most favorable change that Nicolas Cage is not appearing in here. Maybe he can make a cameo appearance in like one episode at some point, but he's not in any way involved in the cast presently, at least on current knowledge. So it's going to be interesting to see how this lands, right? Are more people going to kind of hold out for National Treasure 3, or are the National Treasure fans really going to still flock to this? I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are down below. I mean, I don't know how I feel about it. I'll probably still check it out to best gauge it, as a series. I'll probably watch one episode and you'll see where I go from there. But I'm definitely more excited for the film than I am the spinoff about Nicolas Cage. Now, for those of you who perhaps this is a very new first introduction and you want to know more about the series, this is what you can expect according to IMDb. Jess Morales, a 20-year-old dreamer, sets off on exploration to discover the mystery of her family history, and with the help of her friends, seeks to recover historical lost treasure. I wonder if perhaps maybe there's a connection in the characters here maybe they're using this as a way to bridge the story into National Treasure 3. Perhaps this will be a bit of a segue. I'm imagining it's going to be more of a spin-off because you have such a new cast coming in of many different characters that they're kind of like, okay, we have the side story going on over here while the main story happens, at some point down the road. But why not do National Treasure 3 first? I find that kind of interesting why they wouldn't, do that. Maybe it has to do with filming schedules. I mean, Nicolas Cage has been really busy, and at least a lot of pictures he's been in recently, come to think of it. But I don't know. I think more interest is there with the movie than the streaming show. But let's see how the show is, on a presentation standpoint. I'm just curious, what I think about it. But this is the official teaser. I'm going to go ahead and cue this up. It's a really short teaser, actually. I have 2 videos lined up for this. This is, I guess, the second video we're going to watch will tell us more, but this is a very early preview, and not that long by the looks of it. Okay, title character. She's basically the Nicolas Cage stand-in, I'm assuming. Oh, that's cute. But, I mean, we've seen that before. It is on the verge of gimmicky. Every, Disney franchise does that for their Disney Plus ads. I mean, the presentation in terms of, the archaeological look is there, but it looks like a Disney Plus streaming show. Again, I don't know about the series. And that's a very short teaser. That's just not enough to gauge the story yet. It says streaming soon. I don't know if IMDb released an official, or they list a release date on this yet. They don't even have a year listed on this. I don't know when it's coming out, but either way, I think we need to see more. There's a second video that came out in association. The teaser, I believe, debuted on part of San Diego Comic-Con, as is the case, too, with this featurette. Maybe this will give us a little more of the idea behind the show. Let's see. Again, I want to be open-minded on it, but I do have a lot of questions, for the show. And again, the final result. How will it stand apart from National Treasure 3 in regard to audience prominence? And the fact this comes out first, how many people are going to flock to it rather than just, waiting out for Nicolas Cage to make his return?
We're talking like an honest-to-God treasure map.
Yeah.
I have an idea where to start.
What's wonderful about the National Treasure movies and now TV show is that it
Like I said,
uses
some returning
American
characters.
history as a jumping off point for exciting treasure hunts.
I was a huge fan of the National Treasure movies.
It just holds up. It's a classic.
Still one of my favorite movies ever.
What sets the television show apart, a different world now. Exploring American history was a lot different 20 years ago, and I was a young guy on set. Now I'm not.
I'm excited for the audiences to see this group of friends coming together to help our girl go on this journey. You guys are still in this with me?
Yes.
I'll still watch it.
And all that gold.
Although I'm curious, like, why didn't you release the trailer if you've got all this footage that you're revealing a part of a behind-the-scenes featurette?
And she embarks on this Pan-American treasure.
Judging by the way these videos do, not as many people watch behind-the-scenes featurettes
A crazy riddle.
compared to trailers, so I'm really surprised that they chose to market the series out this way.
Oh, no. That girl gave us a very big clue. I play Billy Pierce. She's a black market antiquity dealer, and she plays a cat and mouse game with Jess.
We find the 3 boxes. We find the treasure.
I mean, it's a longer story, you know, given the streaming format,
We are figuring it out.
than what the National Treasure films have in regard to runtime, so
Absolutely bananas.
Someone following us.
it could land better.
Hasn't lost that historic National Treasure vibe.
Once I start something, I can't stop.
But again, not having Nicolas Cage, I do think, puts a lot of question on the show. I'm still confused as to why they didn't put out a trailer. I find that really odd, given basically this is only, let's see, it's about 2 minutes long. And excusing a couple, you know, interview shots, it's basically, what was the length again? Yeah, 1:30. Just speaking on the way that these videos go, and when I cover, you know, I like to watch featurettes from time to time for certain projects to get a behind-the-scenes perspective. I appreciate not just seeing the craftsmanship on display, you know, when you watch a project, whether it be on the small screen or a large screen, but I like to get a behind-the-scenes perspective to understand what was the vision behind making the movie, and to appreciate the work on a deeper level. But those videos, at least on performance level, when I go back and seen them, you know, in terms of how they've done on my channel, not as many people tend to engage with behind-the-scenes featurettes as they do compared to trailers. So I'm curious as to why they would think putting out a featurette, while it explains more, why put this out in association to a very, 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 very short teaser that really does nothing other than give like a general aesthetic and, you know, an introduction to one character of the show. This is basically a trailer in its length and how much footage it shows. I'm just really surprised by that. Either way, I'm curious to hear what your standpoint is on this down below. I think the runtime for a streaming series might make this adventure hunt story that National Treasure has, you know, featured previously in its 2 films. I think it will make it, you know, a fun experience. I think that longer runtime will help. It will also give it, you know, plenty of time to get familiarized with these new characters coming in. And, you know, it's an exorbitant cast. I mean, again, one familiar face, notably on part of Riley, but, you know, Catherine Zeta-Jones, another big talent here, she's coming in. She's, you know, I'm sure will be enjoyable. And some of the talent here are part of the newer faces, for not only National Treasure, but newer to me. They seem like they're having fun. They seem like they're pretty engaged with the show, so it could deliver very well. But I'm curious to hear, how will this series fare for you in recognition of Nicolas Cage not being here? For now, anyway. I'm curious to hear your thoughts down below on this. I think it's a series with promise. And maybe, again, it's its own spin-off adventure. It'll work. I don't think there's potential for it, even though I will tell you it looks in many ways like, yep, this is like a Disney streaming series. I'm just curious, again, based on the feedback I've seen so far on the fact that that Nicolas Cage isn't a part of this, and National Treasure 3 is being delayed, as you know, that's the second work in favor of the streaming series being launched. I'm curious to see the overall response. I mean, I guess with time, and even the marketing, like I said, that's a really wonky strategy to use a featurette to really elevate the show. rather than using an official teaser or trailer that's much longer. Some of you, I'm sure, will be thanking me for covering this. Like, maybe you didn't even know the featurette released. You're like, well, now you get to see more footage. But I don't know. It's an odd way to go. Odd start, but one that, based on what you see in the featurette, it could be a good National Treasure series. I'll keep an open mind. I will cover it going forward. But we'll have to see, what the general interest level is when the series drops. It's very curious, at least, based on a first reaction from what I'm seeing, from other National Treasure fans. But I think there's some promise to it. For now, anyway, it's a series. With time, we'll be able to to get a more reasonable outlook. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.